الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. We continue from the book of الترغيب والترهيب by Imam al-Mundhiri rahimahullah in Kitab al-Buyu'a, in the book of al-Buyu'a, buying and selling, and we stopped at chapter الترغيب في الورع وترك الشبهات وما يحوك في الصدور, the encouragement, the rewards in al-wara', and to leave الشبهات, which is doubts. وما يحوك في الصدور, as it's mentioned in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, what goes into the heart, which is related to الشبهات, or the doubts with regards to earnings and haram and things like this. And al-wara', which is mentioned in the title here, this is to abstain from something that might be harmful in the Day of Judgment. So staying away from things, abstaining from things, either it's an obligation, and we know it in the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, this is obvious. But then there's the level of the wara', which a person abstain from something which is closer to the haram. This is where the shubuhat is, the doubtful matters. Whether it's doubtful to the person with regards to whether it's halal or haram itself, or it's something that is very close to the haram. And this is what, as we will hear in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, so the shubuhat, the doubtful matters, in matters of earnings, the rule of it is to stay away from it, not to be at ease with it. Not for a person to say, well, if it's haram, I'll stay away. But if it's not haram, is it haram? If it's close to the haram, stay away from it. This is basically what the ruling of it, and it's all based on ilm and, of course, asking the people of knowledge. The hadith, the famous hadith of An-Nu'man ibn Bashir radiallahu anhuma, that he mentions it first. قال سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول الحلال بين والحرام بين وبينهما مشتبهات, which means الحلال بين, clear, والحرام بين, and الحرام بين, very clear, وبينهما مشتبهات, and between the halal and the haram are مشتبهات لا يعلمهن كثير من الناس. Many of the people, they do not know these مشتبهات, these doubtful matters between the halal and the haram. فمن اتقى الشبهات استبرأ لدينه وعرضه. Whoever اتقى, shielded himself from الشبهات, from the doubtful matters, استبرأ لدينه وعرضه, that means طلب البراءة. He sought innocent, he sought to be away from anything that would affect his religion and his honor and dignity. ومن وقع في الشبهات, and whoever falls in the shubhat, not the haram, whoever falls into the shubhat, the doubtful matters, وقع في الحرام, he will fall in the haram, or he fell in the haram. Then the Prophet ﷺ said, كالراعي يرعى حول الحمى يوشك أن يرتع فيه. Like الراعي, the shepherd, يرعى, this is the verb of الراعي, that he takes his animals حول الحمى, around الحمى. الحمى from الحماية, something protected, the sanctuary of the king or so. He's getting it close to where it's forbidden for him to take his animals to. يوشك أن يرتع فيه. يوشك من أفعال مقاربة. It's from the verbs of مقاربة, something very near. يوشك, that means it's very near that he would have his animals fall into the protected area which is forbidden for him to be. ألا وإن لكل ملك حمى. Indeed, for every malik, for every king, there is hima. There is a protected place for the king. No one is permissible for him to come closer to that place. ألا وإن حمى الله محارمه. Indeed, the hima of Allah, the protected area of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, محارمه, what Allah forbade. This is not something for a person to come near it. ألا وإن في الجسد مضغة. The Prophet ﷺ said, indeed, in the body, الجسد مضغة, a chewing thing. إذا صلحت صلح الجسد كله. If it's upright, if it's upon righteousness, then the entire body will be upright. وإذا فسدت فسد الجسد كله. And if it's corrupted, the entire body will be corrupted. ألا وهي القلب. Indeed, it is the heart. And the hadith came in many different ways of narration, but as you see here, the hadith, this is one of the hadith that shows, or it's principles of the deen of Islam. That's why it's one of the 40 hadith of Imam al-Nawawi. So it's a hadith that needs to be applied in our life. We need to know what's the halal and what's the haram. And as mentioned before, to know the halal and the haram is not according to the taste of the people, what they like, or the environments or circumstances, or this year versus last year, or how people always change according to the circumstances. This is not the case with the deen of Allah. This is all and only based on the wahy from Allah, the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet. That's it. No one has the right to forbid as haram or permit as halal except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is from the uluhiyyah of Allah, that He is the only one worthy of worship. So this is made clear. And the final revelation from Allah, it's the most comprehensive, has all the details and all the things that people need to basically perfect their life as in the ubudiyyah of Allah, the servitude of Allah perfectly. There's nothing missing in it. But between them are mushtabihat, between the halal and the haram. As we said, لا يعلمهن كثير من الناس, many of the people, they do not know them. So part of that meaning, that means other people, they know it. So some people, they would know the mushtabihat, whether it's halal or haram, and this is the people of knowledge. This is when it comes to things in its original form. But for an individual, according to his circumstances, something might be originally halal, but for that individual, it's getting him closer to the haram. Or that's why this is something that can be then applies also لا يعلمهن كثير من الناس. So then what's the ruling? فَمَنِ اتَّقَى الشُّبُهَاتِ. So the Prophet ﷺ himself, he said, whoever protect himself from the doubt, from the doubtful matters, then he protects his religion and his honor and dignity. And as a result of that, whoever comes closer to the doubtful matters, then that means he's subjecting himself to harm to his religion, and people would backbite him if it's sinful for them. And if it's not sinful, for the people of knowledge to warn against him because he's doing something wrong, he's coming closer to what's not right. For example, especially when it comes to matters of deen and innovations in the religion and things like this. So he's the one that put his ird, his honor and dignity, in such a place where it's easy to be attacked. And whoever falls into the shubuhat, he falls into the haram. And see how the statement of the hadith, وَمَنْ وَقَعَ فِي الشُّبُهَاتِ وَقَعَ فِي الْحَرَامِ. Not maybe, maybe not. No, this is how things are. If he falls into the shubuhat, he will fall in the haram. And then the Prophet ﷺ gave the clear example, and these examples, these parables are wahy from Allah. And it's not exaggerating, of course, the matter, but it's to make what is non-physical, to make it very tangible, very easy for a person to touch and to relate to it. And then he gave this example. Someone has a whole bunch of animals, and he's a shepherd, and he would not dare to come closer to the fence of the king, right? Because if that happens, he will be killed, the animals will be killed, he'll be in prison, right? And this is any king, any president, at all times, they always have to have their place where no one is to dare to come across it or to come in it. So someone like this, and he brings all of his animals right by the fence. That means what? One of maybe a goat, they like to jump, they would be in there, and then he's in trouble. That means this is how the haram will be. Whoever falls into the shubuhat, he will fall into the haram. That means don't come closer to the haram. The haram is, as the Prophet ﷺ, he said, أَلَا وَإِنَّ لِكُلِّ مَلِكٍ حِمَى أَلَا وَإِنَّ حِمَى اللَّهِ مَحَارِمُهُ. This statement should bring that exaltation in the heart of the haram. The haram is not a simple matter. It's not an easy matter to just deal with it like this. It's haram, it's okay, I'll repent tomorrow, things like this. No one would dare to come closer to the sanctuary of a king, and especially when they know that the king is a serious one. So the hima of Allah, the protected area, is the maharim, is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forbade. So when a believer knows this, he runs away from it. He's far away from it. He makes a barrier after barrier between him and the haram, and not to be close to it. And whoever says to himself that he is strong and he has a strong personality, he's able to control himself, and it doesn't matter if it's close to the haram, he's lying and he's deceiving himself, and he's going to fall into the haram. And then the Prophet ﷺ mentioned the importance of the heart. If the heart is sound and upright, then the rest of the body will be sound and upright. If it's corrupted, the rest of the body will be corrupted, which shows the importance of the heart. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us from the evil within our own selves, and all of that is related to al-wara'. So this is what al-wara' is. that a person would make an area of the halal between himself and the haram. Not to be halal haram, no, there has to be a buffer zone between himself, if it's correct to say, and the haram. So he's at ease, so that he does not come close to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forbid. صلى الله وسلم وبارك على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Have inshallah the dars after the few minutes.